Excuse me. Yes, indeed. Peace. What's going on? It's love growing. I'm saying the one that speaks and grows greater. The killer of the definite events in the living of all of human life. Yo, I I see that people have been viewing the divide, or what you can call the great divide between black man and black woman. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank y'all for you know what I'm saying, for watching it and everything, and keep watching it. You know what I'm saying? Watch it a few times, and leave comments, man. You know what I'm saying? Leave comments, make your comments, share your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So I can have more to go off of. As I do at least two, three, at least two, three or so more videos on that topic, trying to offer it from a more esoteric spiritual perspective that deals with more spiritual science, as opposed to just the slavery aspect, the opinionated aspect, the the historical aspect too. You know what I'm saying? So give it to you from a spiritual scientific aspect that includes all men and women and the dynamic of everything spiritual that goes into just being the very dynamic of what goes into being a female, feminine energy, and a male, a man, masculine, a masculine energy. So I'm gonna do at least two or three or so more of these. You know what I'm saying? To really try to give it to really try to lay it out as best as I can. Just on, well, just from more of a spiritual, scientific place, more of an esoteric, researched place. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just historical and so on, so on, so on. So, that being said, oh, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be doing a lot of these videos, and anything I speak about is more so based on spirituality. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from a more esoteric, researched place, a more esoteric perspective, as I've been studying spirituality and what have you for about 20 years. And I still study to this very day. In fact, I'm technically still studying right now, but I stopped studying after I had dinner. Stopped studying to try to upload the second one. And this is mostly off the head and based on just what I've observed and examined throughout my time of watching all the dynamics play out between black man and black woman, and 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 altogether the relationship of man and woman in modern times, in these times. So with that being said, thank you all again. Keep watching. Stay tuned. Now, another thing that can be said. Okay, well, let's go back to the divide between black men and black women, and then I'll build it up into just a divide between men and the divide between men and women today in general. Furthermore, there was something called the down low. Damn, excuse me. There was something called the so-called down low. What they call it? Was it epidemic or something like that? Where so-called black men were so on the down low and all of that. You know what I'm saying? I think like Atlanta was like one of those main places, right? Well, to speak to that, okay, well, first of all, it's been said that homosexuality is a form of inverted intellect along with degeneration. So they say that a person, so now see, personally, I can't say I totally understand it or get where it comes from, really. All I know is I love women, and the homosexual community and all of that, they ain't really got nothing to do with me. But just to say it, like I said, I do what I do from a spiritual perspective, an esoteric perspective. So when you study esoteric studies, it the way it's said, according to the studies, is that the person was so attracted to their own sex that it kind of it became inverted, and then it went so far down they became attracted to their own sex. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's said, and it's also said that homosexuality or any sexual perversion is a form of infrasexuality, which means under, beneath, below, and so on and so on. So, degeneration usually correlates to de-evolution, which means it's a devolving, degenerating attraction. You know what I'm saying? As the way that it's explained in spiritual studies, or you could say it like they say Jesus had two wives, right? They say Jesus had two wives, one named Lilith, and the other named Nehemiah, or something like that. But I think one is related to sexual perversion, and damn, I don't know which one is related to which, but they both kind of relate to like pedophilia and all that. So therefore, so the idea that black men was down low and all of that, well, that might come from just basic that might come from basic human degeneracy that trickles down into a modern time, and then, like I said in the other video, lack of manhood, lack of being taught correctly, and then just basic human degeneration altogether. And then modern times, they say the food that they give us in these times can also trigger some of these effects, some of these hormones, and some of those hormonal imbalances, to where a woman can literally function more like a dude and have the strength of a dude, and and a man can also have the feminine ways more than some women. You know what I'm saying? So they say the food might play a part in that, and you know, and so I said that to say the idea that there was some down low thing and all that was like that might have been so, but again, you're still dealing with very degenerate, non-spiritual, uneducated, let's even say uninitiated human people, not human beings, because to have the being is to have what's called the fruit of the tree of life, which takes a spiritual work to have those fruits. So can't say human being, but human people, or or as you or as you read in spiritual study, they say the intellectual animal or the human animal. So these are degenerated human people that are missing and lacking their actual central nervous system, the higher aspects of their central nervous system, basically. And you have three nervous systems. Okay, you have the parasympathetic, which is the heart. No. Oh, pardon me. Parasympathetic is the sexual organs. The grand sympathetic is the heart, and then the central nervous system is the spine. So they have they have degenerated five senses, okay, and then they have out of place nervous systems. You know what I'm saying, so all of these factors can play into it. Not to mention, just the inherent disconnection between men and women altogether, and how the women are also damaged, and they also have degenerated senses and out of place nervous systems. So now you talk about men and women who are out of place altogether. That's why they can't come together, because neither one of them, or the majority of men, the majority of men and women, are not doing any real spiritual work whatsoever. Okay, all of these things play a part in the separation between men and women altogether, and then black men and women especially, because if there's any kind of programming or, let's say, agenda, the aim would be to make the aim would be to make the aim would be to make those who are more powerful or most powerful a lot less powerful, or in other words, inferior as possible. So with that being said, pardon me. So with that being said, it goes out of being a man and woman thing, just in terms of black men and women. It's just the psychology and the psyche is so damaged amongst black men and women. You see you see the most degenerated effects, because more of the weight and the damage has been pretty much marketed and promoted to fall upon them, black men and black women. All right. So that's why it seems, often almost outlandish between those two. And I say those two because I look at myself as being somebody who's black in genetics, but because I've done other spiritual work in other lifetimes, I can often separate myself from it, and be a participant, right? And be a participant to try to make it better, but not be a participant in the degeneracy, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So this is me speaking on it as somebody who's just a researcher, someone who's done work through our lifetimes, and someone who continues to do the work in this lifetime. So this is coming from that perspective, and why this is being said by that type of person. Okay. Now, another thing is this. See, okay, Adam and Eve, right? Because we're talking about man and woman, woman and man, right? Adam is said to be the brain, solar force. Eve is said to be the woman, which Eve in pretty much Hebrew means the mother of all living, right? But it's the left side. So for every man and woman, the left side is Eve, right side is Adam, going up to the brain, right? Now, of course, lust and sexual promiscuity and images and videos and the twerking thing that became such a thing and all this stuff, all of these things are a reflection of what you would say Eve feeding Adam, the brain, the solar forces, the forbidden fruit. So now, since it's so promoted and it's becoming so normalized, now the solar forces are being made lunar forces by the out of control the out of control sense of the sexual organ, or putting too much importance on, well, pretty much abusing the sexual energy, right? Putting too much importance on the genitals and the pleasure thereof. So therefore, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You understand what I'm saying? So now, too much sexual pleasure takes away spiritual delight, and it could even take away delight. It could even take away the delight of living a delightful life altogether. Because true pleasure is to use that pleasure to empower delight. You know what I'm saying? Which is to make yourself into light, pretty much. To empower the forces of your spine, or the energy of your spine, to regenerate your brain. That's what I'm saying. And the more you regenerate, the more you become aware, and the less subconscious you are, and the less you're controlled by lunar forces. So this applies to every man and woman on the planet, especially in America, but much more particular and specific to black men and black women, because they need it the most. You understand what I'm saying? And they've been hit the hardest. So ultimately, they're going to have to work to have self-integration or to do spiritual work the hardest. But they have the means to do it, which most people know is melanin, or melanated substance. For me. So therefore, the overall problem is the abuse of sexual energy between men and women. So much so, it's pretty much depleted the relationship and the vitality of the men and women themselves. And then, of course, the society of America and rising prices, overcharging. You could say capitalism, though capitalism has some benefits, but that's a big problem, ultimately. And of course, an oppressive system. So now you got all these things in place, or in other words, institutionalized to cause problems and cause division amongst all people, even down to the very race of the people of their country. All right. So now, what would be the solution, or a solution? One of the best ways to go about this is to stop releasing the semen. Now, semen is called Inus Seminis, the entity of semen in spiritual studies, meaning your semen, or that fluid that's connected to your spine that goes up into your brain, solar force, it's literally an entity that could be used creatively to create for you a new life, new reality, regenerate yourself, have more vitality, and so on and so on. So therefore, you have to stop abusing sexual energy. So the problem between black men and black women is that they've been abused physically, mentally, spiritually, economically, all all around abused and mistreated and treated less than through and through. But they still hold the stronger genetics, and because of those genetics and the melanin, they hold the most potential. So if they can deal with spiritual study, they'll have some of the best outcomes. But the thing is, their lack of interest and knowledge hinders them from taking advantage of their own potential, of their own melanin, their own substance. So it's like, in other words, the serpent seed is 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 what they're more based on and cultivated and built up off of. It's what they more so live through, right? They live more through degeneracy, or you can even say debauchery, because of their conditioning and how and where they've been placed. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, what they have to do very much so is get into some kind of don't worry about no church or religion or nothing. They have to get into some type of truth. Any real success has something spiritual attached to it. Now you can say intelligence, but anything truly successful has some kind of spiritual idea, or let's just say some kind of an imaginative idea. So you have to regenerate your solar force, brain, atom, to have more of an empowered imagination. And you do that with some of your sexual energy, or the innocent menace, the entity of semen. So therefore, you have to become aware of your internal faculties. Black man, black woman, man and woman all together in general. You know what I'm saying? To stop this gender war thing. Feminism is not real. There's no such thing as sexual liberation. You can use sex to liberate, but if you're sexually liberated in terms of only doing the activity and you're still releasing the fluid, the entity of semen, then you're practicing something called Black Tantra, and you're still failing, no matter how pleasurable it might be. Or to put it in more modern terms, no matter how good the sex might be, you're still failing, you're still doing damage, and you're still going downwards. So therefore, you must stop abusing sexual energy. You must become more aware of what sexuality is. Remember this. There's normal sexuality, which is procreation, or just a regular act of two, I guess you could say, a married couple. There's infrasexuality, and then there's suprasexuality. That supra-sexuality is for spiritual beings and those who spiritually advance, and the so-called angels or archangels or whatever. That's supra-sexuality is connected to that. Infrasexuality is connected to sexual perversion, promiscuity, prostitution, pedophilia, so on and so on. That's infrasexuality, meaning it's a lower use of sexual energy. Now, normal sexuality again is pretty much typical sex, or just for the sake of your species, basically. Normal sexuality. You have to stop infrasexuality. Furthermore, understand what normal sexuality is, and then understand what suprasexuality is. Okay? So therefore, in other words, deal with knowledge. And don't just say you deal with knowledge in terms of being historical and trying to be proud and have pride. You need honesty as you deal with the knowledge. And the more honest you are, and the more you go into these practices, and the more you understand, is the more that you can actually improve yourself. So for the black man that loves the black woman, this is how you improve that, to have more love for her, to actually love her. For the black woman that still wants to love a black man, that's how you do it. That's what you got to learn. You have to become aware of that, and you have to. And if he's overly lustful, you have to remind him, we got to empower the solar aspect and not follow lunar forces. All right. So I think I'm gonna get ready to end this right here, because there's still a little bit more to say. And see, I want to get with somebody to where I can go back and forth to really, really explain it furthermore, and to really use better examples and everything like that. Because when it's just me on the fly, like I have a sense of direction and I know what I want to say in a sense, but this is kind of just off the head. It's just me recalling different studies that I've studied and different things I've come across throughout time and what have you. So that's pretty much what this is. It's just me recalling different studies and different things I've seen just on the fly. So I got to get with somebody somewhere, in some way, at some point, to furthermore elaborate, to fully go into it, to give more critical, to be able to give a more exact answer that can apply to give an answer that's more exact, but it can still be broadly applied and also understood and comprehended. Pardon me. So, yeah, I got to get with somebody. So anybody who would be interested in some kind of way, y'all let me know, and then we'll rock out from there. But yeah, and I plan on doing more collaborations, and I'm gonna speak on this. I'm gonna bring up more spiritual topics. I'm gonna talk about music. Why is music so terrible? Will be like the next video. Terrible music up to date. That's gonna. I'm gonna go into that. Me as somebody who's truly connected to music, or you could even say the God of music, the actual God of music. I'm gonna speak on that. I'm gonna speak on the music and the perspective, and I'm gonna give you some references to go listen to if you haven't heard it, and all that. And I'm gonna go into that next. And yeah, yo, and I'm gonna start talking about different topics just that happens in the world. And remember, it's always gonna have an esoteric and spiritual perspective to it. So I'm dealing with spiritual science along with common sense, or let's see, we say, let's also say practicality, being practical. All right. So I'm about to be out. This is Love Growing. You may have to watch this video at least once or twice. This time it's about 21 minutes. And yo, much love. It's Love Growing, the killer of the ignorance of all humanity, the killer of the ignorance of all of human life. I'm out of here. Peace. Inferential peace. The real peace sign has 3 fingers. That's not a gang sign. It's it's not a gang sign. Peoples. Inferential peace. 3 fingers. Atlantean term. I'm Love Growing, and I'm out. Enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to check back in probably tomorrow or the day after, or maybe even later. We'll see. Peace. I'm here. The God has arrived. Doing my job. I'm out. 1.